person who cares about me would never have put me in that situation in front of everybody yesterday. I felt like I was put in a situation yesterday where I was humiliated, and you might have thought that was okay, but I would never. Can you imagine me like...
But you then did exactly the same to me.
Sadly for me, what this drama between Tina, India and Scott has proved to me is that we need Kaz in the villa till the end. Otherwise, we will be bored as hell, because we need people like Kaz. We need the likes of Ronnie, because when they had their drama last week, it kept you riveted. It kept you by the screen wanting to know what's happening next. And so to have this drama with India and Scott and not sort of feel entertained by it and wanting it to stop just shows you that they were a boring couple. They really were a boring couple, and she deserved to go home. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. It's your girl Valerie. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars Season 2, Episode 6. Love Island is always going to be messy, regardless of whether it's All Stars or whether it's just, new people that have just joined the franchise, because this show will come up with some silly games. Anyway, they gathered around the fire pit and it was a truth or dare. So you had, the girls and the guys sit around the fire pit, and there was all sort of, they had these cards that they would put on their lips and they would pass them around to the next person. Hey, hopefully no one has a cold sore, because otherwise everybody's about to be sick. Anyway, so you'd either get a truth or you'd get a dare, and the first person up was Curtis. He was asked to demonstrate his 3 favorite sex positions, and so he had to choose 3 islanders. He chose Ekin-su, Olivia, and India. Surprised that he picked India. I've never seen him sort of have those sort of conversations with India. I don't know whether he was trying to do someone he knew wouldn't offend Ekin-su because they're friends with Ekin-su. That's the impression that I get. Next up, Olivia was asked to give a 5-second snog to someone she's not in a couple with, so she went and chose Luca. I think Olivia still likes Luca. I think she hasn't got over the fact that Luca dumped her on day 1. He actually said he liked the kiss, and he's sad that he actually shut things down on day 1 as well. Gabby's asked, kiss the person you'd couple up with. If not with Casey, she went and she kissed Luca, because she was having conversations with Luca anyway before Casey came in. But I think Luca, she was worried about the age, and his standoffish behavior, I think, has put off a lot of girls in sort of pursuing anything with him. Ronnie is asked, is there someone you want to be with and outside of your couple? And he said no, which is surprising. Amazing. Ronnie's grown. Luca has been asked to kiss his top 2, and he kissed Tina and Kaz. I think he kissed Kaz because he didn't want to kiss anyone else. I think because they've got an amazing friendship, so he's decided to go for his friend. I don't know whether he's in any sort of, or whether he has any hopes of pursuing anything romantically with anyone. I don't know. Kaz is asked the truth. Do you fancy Luca? And she said, it needs 2 people in order to explore a connection. You can't just be exploring a connection on your own, which is the truth. Casey is asked, what's the truth with you and Tina? And he says, they went to Antigua or Ibiza and they had sex, and he just always sort of throws it around like it's nothing. And so Kaz then asks him, why did you apologize to her if that's all it was? And he went, oh, well, there was an incident whereby there was a taxi and she was left behind. And Tina's asked, what's your opinion of the situation? And she said, well, he started talking to these girls and they just ignored her and walked off. And so they now have, this back and forth. Anyway, the next question is for Casey again, and Casey's asked, who's the biggest game player? He goes, Kaz. He says, because of the way you spoke to me on day 1. And Kaz is like, what do you mean? And he said, well, you told me that I sleep around with all the girls. And it's like, that's the truth though, because you have been yelling it from the rooftop. He said it at least more than almost 10 times since Tina has come in that he slept with her. And so I like the fact that Kaz actually pointed out to him that here's a shining example of what I was saying. Because you say you've slept with her. This is what I meant by saying you're sleeping around with the islanders. That's what you're doing. And sadly, he has no sort of leg to stand on, because Kaz was right. He has just proved her point by constantly reiterating that he slept with this girl. And so I don't get why he's still upset with her. Next card is for Casey, who was dead. Well, Ronnie is always going to look out for his people. I think he wanted to squash the beef. So Ronnie said to him, I dare you to kiss the girl you've just had an argument with, which was Kaz. So he had no choice but to sort of break the ice with Kaz, because otherwise it would have been a thing. And so I think Ronnie is trying to make sure that there's no beef there. Tina was asked to rank her 3 dates. She said Naz is third. Are we surprised? No. Second, she said is Luca. And then first, she said is Scott. Well, she said she had a thing for Scott in their season, so I'm not surprised that she put him first. After she said that, she tried to sort of apologize to India, to say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean any offense. And India was like, no, it's nothing to do with you. It's something else. So India's card is who's the most calculated. And she says the most calculated is Scott, because, well, you now have, what's her name, Alma, also chiming in. And it's like, these girls make it seem like the moment you kiss with a guy, you're married to him. That's the impression that they like to give, that once somebody kisses you or makes out with you in bed, you're a couple. And yet in the real world, they do that and they don't have any problems with the person moving on to somebody else. So I don't get why. Is it because they don't want to leave the show, or is it because they really have feelings for these people that the girls start kicking off and saying, oh, but you kissed me, so why are you entertaining anybody else? Well, you're not a couple. You're not a husband and wife couple. So please, he's entitled to do whatever he wants to do. I would like to pretend to be surprised that Scott said he got the egg from India, saying that he's calculated, but I'm not. Because on day one, he told the guys that they were friends, and if there was ever supposed to be anything romantic between the two of them, it would have happened in the real world. But it didn't happen in the real world, so there was no point in trying to explore it in the villa. And I think he was trying to explore it for convenience sake, or to keep her sweet, until he found his person. And now he's found his person, he's good. So you have him storm off with Ronnie and Casey, and I think it was Luca, and he was venting about the fact that he felt some type of way about being called calculated. It's put him off. It's put him back in his shell. And it's like, nah, he's lying. He's lying. He wasn't feeling her like that. Now he's looking for an excuse as to not look bad for dumping her for Tina, because it seems he really is interested in Tina. You have, India venting to the girls. Oh, he called me an egg. How could he do that? And it's like, he doesn't like you romantically. Don't pretend like this is something new to you. So please, you've known this for a while, that this guy is not feeling you that way. And so the idea that you'd suddenly make a big deal out of it doesn't make sense. Tina pulls him for a chat. They have a conversation. She's sort of saying, how do you feel about everything? How do you feel that I ranked our date number 1? Because I really like you and I'm open to exploring something with you. And he seems very interested. The thing with Scott that I've noticed is from day 1, he's wanted to be stolen. When Ekin-su came in, he was flirting the loudest, and sadly, Ekin-su didn't pick him. I think he thought Ekin-su would save him from his couple with India. I don't think he ever wanted to be in a romantic couple with India. I think he wanted to be friends, but I don't think he ever planned on being romantic with her. So when Ekin-su didn't pick him, he was sitting and biding his time and waiting for someone. And now that Tina's come in, he likes Tina and is open to exploring that. And whatever happens with India, he doesn't care. India comes out and sees them sort of having a conversation. So she's busy venting to everyone in the kitchen that, did I make a mistake? Was I wrong? How could he call me an egg? And everyone is sort of trying not to sort of make things worse. And they're sort of encouraging her to have a chat with Scott and see where that lands. So you have Scott sit down for a chat with India. And I don't even know why they're pretending. I don't get why the girls make it seem like if you have a conversation with a guy, you're suddenly married to them, you're a couple. The moment you kiss or you cuddle in bed, that's it. Because these guys are always going to move messy at the end of the day, and she knows it. She knows they were not a romantic couple. She knows they were a couple of convenience. So the idea that she would suddenly want to make it seem as though this guy was in love with her, he declared his love for her, and now she's broken because he's leaving her for somebody else. I don't get that. You have India go and sit on the day beds with Gabby, and they're joined by Kaz, and Gabby's sort of in her feelings because she doesn't know where she stands with Casey because of Casey's reputation. And it's like, even a blind man can see that Casey is just there to enjoy himself, to sleep with as many girls as he can, and then move on to his next conquest. So the idea that Gabby would even think that he's going to be serious with her, I don't think so. I think he has a couple of years to go before he decides to be serious with anyone. I don't think if he was serious about a relationship, he would have come back into the villa. I think he would have stayed back in the real world and explored connections with people there. So he's coming into the villa every time just to, link up with a new group of islanders and then go back and do whatever nonsense he gets up to. So for her to play dumb and to think like, she's suddenly going to be serious about it, I don't know. I like the fact that the girls encouraged her to sort of prioritize herself and do what's in her best interest. So hopefully she prioritizes herself and she leaves this genius alone. You have Luca pull, Kaz for a chat. And Luca, I don't know what's going on. I think he's got a soft spot for Kaz. I don't know whether it's romantic or not, but I think he's got a soft spot for Kaz. I think Kaz is very likable and the guys really like her. I don't know whether they like her romantically, but I know they like her as a person. So they had this chat and he was asking her, do you think I'm closed off? Do you think I need to, there should be more there? I think he was trying to suss her out. I don't think he had ever considered exploring anything with her, but I think getting to know her and chat with her and spend time with her, he's realized that if he's ever going to explore a connection with anyone, she's his best possibility. And so this is why he's decided to sort of have this chat with her and see if they can explore something. Kaz is saying she's open because she's got no one at the moment. So she's come into the villa looking for love. So she's open to exploring a connection with him to see if there's anything there. And I'm really sad that the producers keep bringing these people that are really not interested in people that look like Kaz or Catherine. I don't get it. I'm sorry, but the boys are very petty and very childish. Because when you mix Ronnie with Casey and Luca, you get a lot of foolishness because Casey is always after craziness. This is why he comes to the villa, because he likes the messiness and the silliness and the goofiness. Anyway, they decide to have this conversation where they encourage, Luca to go and have a kiss with Tina, because he says he sees that there is a possibility that there could be something there. And so he's open to trying to explore it. And so they encourage him to go and share a kiss with her. And they actually arrange the sound lounges side by side so that they can be close together. And you have Luca pull, Tina for a chat, and he's saying to her, they're sort of flirting, and he's asking her, do you want to share a kiss? Do you want to do? And it's like, please, why are we being so foolish? Why are we behaving as though we are in high school? We are not in high school. We're actually adults, and let us behave like adults. I don't get it. Is it just for entertainment, or are just people are just bored? And so this is why they're doing this. For her, Tina, to give him a kiss on the cheek and then later agree to kiss him, when she knew for a fact that he was doing it for the audience, he had an audience watching and he was performing for them. I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. Especially if she says she's very keen on Scott. That is not a good look. It really isn't. Anyway, everybody gets ready for bed, and there's this conversation going around in the bedroom with the guys sort of saying, oh, Lucas had an amazing day. He's kissed 2 girls. And he sort of says he thinks there could be something romantic with Tina, but also at the same time, he's had this conversation with Kaz and they've agreed to be friends with benefits. And I'm like, this is what I don't like. The fact that you have people of color, especially the ladies, being utilized as people that are undesirable or people that have no morals or values, I don't like that, because you could see a lot of guys were taken back because they were wondering, how can Kaz agree to that? And I don't like the fact that she's being made to be so desperate that she's, jumping at any crumbs that any guy will give her. The same situation happened with Ronnie, and the same situation is now happening with Luca. And it's like, either bring her someone who will like her or allow her to go home. She doesn't need this mess. She really doesn't. Anyway, everyone gets into bed, and you have sort of Kaz asking Scott, so where do you stand with India? Are you still upset, or are you guys open to sort of exploring your connection? And you have Scott say, well, I'm back in my shell. And so it's going to take a lot to bring me out. And it's like, nah, that's just an excuse. That's an excuse for him to sort of move mad, because he's going to say she's offended me. I think he's braver than Ronnie was. Ronnie was not brave enough to sort of leave Elma once she threw a fit, whereas Scott has wanted to jump ship from the moment he was coupled up with this woman. So this is his opportunity to sort of, move away from her. You have Tina sort of going to bed with Luca and Kaz, and they're just sort of having a conversation. And Luca is ecstatic because he's got, his two favorite people in the villa in the bed with him. Anyway, everybody goes to sleep. And so in the morning, the bedroom is tense. It really is tense because you have Scott feeling some type of way about this situation that, in my opinion, is making a mountain out of a molehill. So he storms out of the bedroom, and everyone is sort of just trying to sort of stay out of the drama. They're trying not to make the situation worse, and it's like you're being more sensitive than you guys were when it was Kaz. Now, because it's India, everyone is trying to walk on eggshells. Make that make sense? Anyway, they have a chat after everybody else gets a coffee. I don't think India got a coffee from Scott because he was still in his feelings. So he sat down with her. They're having this chat, and I don't even know why they even bothered. I think India and Scott had an understanding that they would stay together until the very end. So the fact that someone Scott really fancied walked into the villa, I think this is why he's suddenly started to move messy and started to sort of hold on to things that he shouldn't be holding on to. The fact that he's telling her that, I've gone back into my shell and it's going to take quite a bit to get me out. We'll still continue, but, I'm going to move a lot slower. And it's like, that's not the situation. What he's more or less telling you is the fact that he has got the ick and he has found someone he really likes. And so until that person chooses him, he's willing to entertain you. So as soon as Tina chooses him at Recoupling, he's going to dump you and he's going to go to Tina. So if I were you, I would be open to exploring connections with other people. And sadly, because she came in and she was locked in with Scott and didn't even explore with anyone else, she's in this situation whereby she can't, sort of pursue anything with anybody else, and chances are she's going to be the first islander dumped because she really sort of restricted her options. You have Kaz go for a conversation with Luca, and because Luca was sort of questioning people that, do you think that Kaz is just showing interest in me because Tina has come in? And it's like, nah, Kaz is open to exploring connections. She's made this abundantly clear to everyone with ears to hear that she's open to exploring a connection with anyone who's open to exploring a connection with her. It's just that the guys have a type that they're aiming for, and Kaz is not it. And so this is why she's been in this situation whereby she's now just sat there and just hoping that her person either comes through the door or one of the guys in the villa decides to sort of give her a chance. I like that they're very flirty and they're very friendly, and I think this is what Luca wants in a connection with someone. He wants to start off on a friendship basis before anything gets any deeper. And because Kaz is giving him that, I think this is why he's happy to continue down that way. Do I think they can have something that will last a long time? Now, I think Kaz's person needs to come in. I wish they would bring in people that look like Omar, other people that are more likely to be interested in her. I know they're bringing Ronnie, and it's like, why are they bringing Ronnie? Ronnie was never serious. Ronnie was a game player. He was a fan of the show. And so he did everything in his power to stay relevant on the show. So the idea that the producers would feel that he's the best person to bring back doesn't make sense to me, but that's just me. You have Casey go on the terrace with Gabby. Gabby, I don't get what she's up to. I think Gabby has realized that since, she likes Luca, and I think because her friend is now exploring something with Luca, she's decided to make things work with Casey, because them going onto the terrace didn't make sense. After seeing or hearing what, Tina had to say about Casey, I don't get why she's decided to give him a chance. I know the girl said, he might have changed. I don't think he's changed. I really don't think he's changed. I think he'll always be the same Casey. He'll always want to play games with the girls, and he'll never be serious. It will take a lot to be serious. Until somebody breaks his heart, he's always going to move messy when it comes to the girls. So I hope Gabby's smart. For her to ask for a kiss, I wonder if people would have the same opinion had it been somebody else who had asked for a kiss. I wonder if they wouldn't be kicking off and saying all the malicious things if someone like Kaz or Catherine had asked for a kiss, because he should have kissed her because he wanted to kiss her, not because he was asked for a kiss. And for her to say thank you afterwards, I don't get it. I really don't. I think it's giving a bit desperate. I personally really need to know what's going on as Kaz's defense league in the villa. Because I don't get this thing that's going on whereby guys show interest in Kaz, and then when she tries to reciprocate, then suddenly things go left and the guys just make it seem as though she's desperate, she's pushing them for something, and she's not. Curtis seemed interested, and then when Ekin-su came in, he completely blocked her out. Same happened for Ronnie. He seemed interested until his partner kicked off. And then now you have Luca suddenly having a conversation with Tina, and he's telling Tina that, I have a spark with you. He was telling the guys that he has more of a spark with Tina. With Kaz, he doesn't know where they stand. And it's like, make it make sense. Either you like Kaz or you don't. Don't play with her. This is somebody else's emotions that you're playing with. Either you like her romantically or you don't like her romantically. That's it. There's no in between. There's no maybe let's do this or maybe let's do that. You didn't like anyone at the start of it. Now you're saying you like Olivia, you also like Tina, but you think there might be something there with Kaz. Which is it? Who exactly do you like in the villa? Make it make sense. Anyway, the islanders get ready for the night, and you have India and Scott. They still haven't spoken. India's in her feelings. Scott is in his feelings. And it's like, this was never going to work. This was never going to work. Let us be honest. So the idea that this exaggerated fight is happening doesn't make sense to me. I think India has realized that she's about to be dumped from the villa. So she's decided to make an impact before she leaves, because at the moment she's been in the background. She has actually had less time than Catherine, and that says a lot. So the idea that suddenly she's making this big deal about this thing doesn't make sense. The islanders pick up their drinks. Then you have Ekin-su in producer mode, because she pulls, Tina for a chat, and she's sort of asking Tina, where do you stand? Where's your head? Who do you like most? Do you like, Scott? Do you see something with Scott? And Tina is sort of and ahhing. She says, she has this thing with Luca, but she also feels like she has something there with Scott, and she doesn't know which one she wants to explore. And it's like, Ekin-su, why are you being so messy? Are the producers sort of using you to carry their water and sort of make drama where there's no need for drama? Because why are you involved in this situation? You were involved in the situation with Ronnie and Kaz and Elma. Now you're suddenly involved in this situation. Make it make sense. I think at the moment, watching it the way I'm watching it, I think Kaz is sort of part of the leads of this series, because she's been in a lot more storylines than anybody else. So you have, Ekin-su trying to encourage Tina to go and have a conversation with Scott and explore a connection with Scott. I think Ekin-su would prefer that, India go home. And it's like, why is it your business who stays and who leaves? I can't wait for Grace to come in and then have her and Ekin-su clash, because I think everybody else is sort of afraid of Ekin-su. And so it would be nice for somebody else who's not afraid of her to come in and sort of give her a telling for and give her a piece of her own medicine. So you have Tina sort of go to the guys, and she's trying to sort of find a way of pulling Scott for a chat. And Ekin-su from that producer position runs over to Olivia, and she's asking Olivia, what's going on with you and Luca? I had a conversation with Luca, and Luca said, there was a spark there. He really liked your kiss. And it's like, why is it that every time a guy shows interest in Kaz, Ekin-su has to be somewhere in the middle and has to be creating chaos so that Kaz has no one? What is it about Kaz that intimidates her? Does she see a younger version of herself in Kaz, and so this is why she doesn't want Kaz to get the limelight? I really don't get it, because when Kaz was in a couple with Curtis, she came and she stole Curtis, and Kaz took a step back and didn't fight her for him. When Kaz tried to explore things with Ronnie, she then ran and was on Alma's side and was encouraging Elma to kick up. And now she's encouraging Olivia and Luca. And it's like, make it make sense. If you know for a fact that Tina is going to go for Scott, why not allow Kaz to have Luca? Why are you encouraging Olivia to go and have something to do with Luca? Why? What would make you think that that's a good idea? How would you feel if other people did the same thing? And I'm surprised no one is calling it out that Ekin-su seems to have some sort of beef with Kaz and is using other islanders to sort of fight her beef with Kaz. And it's like, why? Why would you do that? You have Scott finally sit down for a chat with Tina, and they're happy because in their initial season, apparently they didn't even get a chance to have a conversation because KD was kicking off. So this time, at least they've had a chance to flirt and talk and sort of get to know one another. Do I think he likes her? I think he likes her. I think he likes her, but he's not sure whether she likes him only. And so this is why he's going to continue to sort of have this sort of situation whereby he's trying to sort of have a back and forth or have a backup plan in the sense of India until he's sure that Tina is 100% in for him. So I can't wait to see what happens, but I have a feeling if there's a dumping, India is the one who's going home. So you have Scott sit down for another conversation with India. And it's like, I think this is now producer driven because nothing is coming out of these chats. Every time they sit down and have a conversation, everyone is upset. Everyone is in their feelings because they feel like they're not being listened to. Scott is holding on to the fact that he was called, calculated. And she is holding on to the fact that he called her an egg. And it's like Scott is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. He doesn't like this girl. And so he's looking for an excuse to sort of justify whatever he's going to do or whatever he's going to say. Anyway, Maya Jama arrives in the villa and asks everyone to gather around the fire pit. She sort of summarizes the relationships and where they stand. The fact that Ronnie, I love that she actually asked, Elmo to say, do you think Ronnie has changed? Do you think he's going to be any different from who he's been all along? And she's trying to make it seem like she thinks he's changed. And we all know Ronnie, it's just a matter of time. If Grace comes in and she says she's interested in Ronnie, Ronnie's head is going to turn. Ronnie can never do without love triangles. So the idea that Elmo thinks that this is it, I don't get it. Yes, it was good of her to bring up the fact that, Kaz has really struggled. Kaz hasn't found her person because they haven't brought in people that look like Kaz. And so the idea that, we are being told that this, Kaz is desperate. I don't like it. That's the storyline that they're setting up for her. We have Naz and Catherine, and they say they're in a good place. They're really enjoying themselves and getting to know one another. And it's like, well, we don't know what's going on with the two of you because we've barely seen the two of you. So it leads me to believe that you're a very stable couple. This reminds me of Whitney and Lachlan, because Whitney and Lachlan are still together, but I don't understand their connection because we never really actually got to see how they became a couple in the villa. I know they met in Casa, and it's surprising that they're still together, and apparently they were in New York recently, but we never got to see their couple. And this is the same thing that's happening with Catherine and Naz. We barely get to see them, and it's like, what is going on? Why are we not seeing them on our screens? Anyway, so Maya then asks Tina to stand up, and she stands up and she, chooses who she wants to couple up with. She chooses to couple up with Scott. Am I surprised? No. I'm not surprised because her reason is the fact that, she and Scott met on their original season and didn't get a chance to explore anything because his partner at the time wouldn't let him explore anything. So it makes sense that she would want to explore that and make sure that there's nothing there, because otherwise if she goes to explore something with Luca and then turns out there's nothing with Luca, then she can't go back to this person. So I agree with her that she needs to see if there's anything there. He is saying he's not sure whether she's someone he can settle down with, but he knows, Scott, he can have a great time with her. So she chooses him. The interesting thing is Scott was over India. He really was over India, because when he was picked, he didn't even say goodbye to her. He didn't even give her a hug or say anything. He just stood up and ran his ass across towards Tina and stood by Tina. And everyone was sad for India because Maya then revealed that she was dumped. And you could see Maya wasn't happy that she was being dumped. But at the end of the day, who did she want to be dumped? Who did she want to be dumped? I would have wanted Elmo, but hey, who am I? I can't decide who goes home. It's up to the producers and the viewers. So you have Scott pull her for another chat, and it's like, I don't get it. I don't even know why he continues to want to pull her. I don't know whether he's trying to sort of look good in public opinion or what exactly the purpose of that chat was, or maybe producers encouraged them to have a final chat before they left the villa. But hey, I don't know. She left the villa, and Ronnie's so sweet because he helped her sort of lift her case up the step. And it's like, Ronnie will always be a sweet guy when it comes to the ladies. And I think this is one of the reasons why the girls really like him. India sat down for a chat with Maya, and she was sort of saying, things never recovered after the game at the fire pit. She thought he would take it, but he didn't take it. And he called her an egg. And sadly, in calling her an egg, he gave her a reverse egg. And it's like, wow, the two of you were never romantic. Let us be for real. You were never romantic. You were just friends that were deciding to sort of push this thing for as long as you could so that the two of you could stay in the villa. Had Scott's type not come in, the two of you would have still been a couple, but sadly his type came in and he jumped ship and you didn't have an option, and this is why you're going home. It is what it is. Apparently Ron and Grace are coming in today, and I'm like, oh, really? Side-eye? Grace, why are you coming back in? There's no one that she's going to like, unless she decides to go for Marcel, because she was really interested in Josh in her season. So unless she decides to go for Marcel, then maybe Otherwise, I don't know who she will like. It could be a switch around. It could be Grace will go for Marcel, and then Olivia will go for Luca, and then you have Ron go for Kaz. I want them to bring in someone who will like someone like Kaz or someone like Catherine. But hey, that's just wishful thinking. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 5. Bye, guys.